Hello, everyone, and welcome to our youth panel, Chatting with Royalty, hosted by Teaching for the Culture. My name is Kimberlyn Jackson, and I will be facilitating this conversation today with some young kings and queens that we have here with us. So, first, I want to give you all an opportunity to share your names as well as how old you are. If you would like, you can share what school you go to or where you are in your educational journey. So I'll go ahead and get started with Janaya.
Hi, my name is, excuse me. Hi, my name is Janaya. I'm 16 years old and I'm in high school.
Samara, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. My name is Samara Wilson. I'm a second year English literature major at USF, and I graduated from high school in 2019.
Very good. Recent graduate. Go ahead, Jalen.
Hello, my name is Jalen Morris. I'm 17 years old and I attend East Bay High School and I'm in the 12th grade.
Awesome. And Joshua, round us out.
Hi, I'm Joshua Salmon. I'm 18 years old, and in the fall, I'll be attending Morehouse College as a freshman.
All right, very nice, very nice. So, thank you all for having this chat with us. Here at Teaching for the Culture, it's really important to us that we include student voice and really elevate your voices in things and decisions that people are making that directly affect you. So, right before coming on, I was watching the school board meeting, and our superintendent here in Hillsborough County was just talking about making masks mandatory. Yesterday, there was also a press conference from the governor, Ron DeSantis, as well as Mr. Cochran, about how we're going to proceed with going back to school with COVID 19. So I just wanted to give you all an opportunity to talk about your feelings around everything. This has been going on since March of this past year. So we just want to give you an opportunity to be transparent about how you feel and how you feel like this is impacting you. And what do you think as far as going back to school, what that might look like? And whoever would like to start, I'm going to let you just go ahead and jump in.
Well, I think that schools in general, they don't really know exactly how the school year is going to work out because even with me going to college, they're still like rearranging schedules and things like that, or they're not really adamant on a certain way they're going to run the school year, or even just fall semester, even though that's like next month. You know what I mean? So I really
Mhm.
think a lot of schools don't really know exactly what type of precautions to take when it comes to COVID and students in high school, middle school, and elementary school, and going back to school, things like that.
As this past year being a senior, what I will say is that it definitely all hit, of course, the whole world, just out of nowhere. When it comes to the fall, I can definitely say that I don't feel that we're that far from removed from the shock factor of things still, because cases are rising, because we're getting new information each day, and because there's so many people going about it different ways. So when it comes to the fall, I think as a student, I'm just trying to remain flexible with whatever way things go. With me going to college, we can say like the school is changing so much. Literally every week, it feels like we went from having a roommate to now having our own dorms to now having to be tested and different stuff like that. And I think that reflects also even in the regular public school system with high school, middle school, etc. So I think it's just really about remaining flexible for me as a student.
Mhm.
Mhm. Janai or Jalen, y'all want to jump in here because you all are still within the K-12 school system. So, how are you feeling about everything?
You like to go first? You want me to go first?
You can go first.
Um, I feel as if it's like, I mean, it's a 50-50 chance if you think about it because at one point, yeah, y'all are trying to keep us away from the COVID, but at the same time, everyone wants to go see their friends. So I think that we should like everyone should come to an understanding on what to do and what not to do. So like the whole mask situation, I feel like it should be mandatory for you to be wearing masks moving periods. But in class or like at lunch, it's up to you if you decide if you're comfortable for to wear the mask or not.
Mhm.
I would say it's kind of a challenging topic because you, when you're going back to school, as you said, you want to see your friends. Um, but also it's kind of scary because of COVID and you don't really, you're unsure of things. So I really want them to have, as he said, guidelines and things because, there are people who don't care and they'll just, just, cough on people and stuff like that stuff is just not good for me. So I would just say it's scary because it's a new health thing and I hope they take it serious.
And I appreciate your vulnerability, Janaya, because I was just about to ask, do you all feel that people are taking it seriously?
Um, if I
I
might,
think,
you can go ahead.
well, I was just going to say, I think it varies because a lot of people have different opinions on COVID, whether like a wide range of opinions on it. And so, like, therefore, people are going to have different, means of taking precautions. Some people don't wear masks when they go out. Some people are very adamant at wearing masks. Um,
Hmm.
some people take it seriously, others don't. As you can see, our president doesn't really take it that seriously, and a lot of people follow what he does. So it really varies.
Yeah.
Um,
To add on to what Samira says, well, I think that's really the case of it all because not even just our president, but each state is taking it differently. Each state has a different amount of cases, and then you narrowed up that down to then cities and then counties, etc. Because so many people are taking it differently, I don't think that everyone takes it as serious as others. I mean, you see it in the case of my family personally. We've definitely taken it serious for the last 5 months going on now since March. But I have friends who have just kind of went about it however. So I definitely don't think that everyone does because of the fact that I think everything starts at the head. And if the head doesn't take it seriously, then it just dwindles down.
Yeah, I want you all to speak a little bit when I was just sharing, that this is scary for her and in the circles that she's been in. What personal impact do you feel that this pandemic has had on you as as a student, as a person in your community?
As an individual, I would say that as a personal individual, I'll say that COVID-19 has kind of been a blessing. I say that because in the midst of a lot of things changing, I think it's the slowdown that I needed as a person to really focus on myself for a second, whether it's my mental health, whether it's relationships with friends. Also, in the midst of all this, you had different things with the Black Lives Matter movement and a lot of stuff like that. And I think it's been a moment of just being able to really check on myself and see if I'm okay as a person. And
Hmm.
that's due to being quarantined and having to stay home and in a sense, having to stop and just focus on you because you're focused on your health so much. This thing's the first time that a lot of us have been selfish to a degree. We're just, allowing us just to have that time. As a student, I won't say that it's been the best. My last period of high school, or my senior year, while I definitely did, end it off well, I'll say that a lot of the experiences that I was looking forward to didn't come through. So
Yeah.
things like prom, graduation was canceled, different stuff like that. And then knowing that I'm going in my freshman year to college, and a lot of those things are changing, such as homecoming or first week events that take place, won't be happening. Having a roommate won't be happening. I think as a student, as overall, it has, definitely taken a hard hit.
Hmm.
I also agree with Joshua. I mean, as an individual, yeah, it gave me like a calm down type of feel because like the whole quarantine thing, it made me like sit back and maybe I can like do my flow to virtual school, get my classes done, get like think about things, think about what I want to do for my senior year, etc. But yeah, as he said, as a student, it is kind of like it did kind of hit kind of hard because like he said, he's going into his freshman year. I'm going into my senior year. I might not have homecoming, prom, grad bash, like the things you look forward to for senior year. Hope it has either prevented it or it's going to push it back farther than what it should have been.
Hmm. Ladies, you want to share?
I would say that 2020 has been the year of realizing things for a lot of people. as Joshua said, the Black Lives Matter movement, it has really, you've seen a lot of people have seen that there is systemic racism and that there is a lot of things wrong with our system. So I would say that's something I definitely am glad that, as he said, that we're in quarantine, that people can see the things going on and that hopefully, it will continue to bring about change.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like on an individual level, I agree with Joshua because it really like you really get the time to like slow down and things like that. I had to leave school March, and after that we like did not come back. So all the classes were like remote learning and things like that. And I would say that was a hard transition. Even though it did slow things down, it kind of propelled in other ways. Like when it came to school, teachers didn't really know what to do when it was came to online like learning and things like that. So they were kind of hectic. It was hectic. Students were hectic. It was a lot of confusion. But outside of school, on an individual level, it really like slowed things down for me and like be able to be more aware of things that I'm going through.
Yeah, and I can definitely relate to that as well. Being an adult and being an educator, it definitely caused us to take a pause, an intentional pause that we otherwise might not have thought about doing because we get so busy being busy. So I appreciate, you all bringing that up. And Joshua and Janaya, when you all bring up the Black Lives Matter movement, we do want to definitely just go ahead and transition over into that. So we know while in the midst of this pandemic that was um, identifying and illuminating all of these situations that are systemic issues that are happening in our communities. On top of that, we then had the murders of Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor and George Floyd. And we just continue to have hashtags and names that are added to a list. Talk to us about how that has felt in the midst of everything else.
I would say for me, it was overwhelming. Like not only for the COVID, not only like COVID-19 going around, but like a lot of media emphasis on Black Lives Matter and all the like, cases that have recently come up or being brought to light again. It was kind of overwhelming. And I don't want to say that in a sense like a negative sense, but sometimes when you take in like too much at one time, too much hysteria, you
Mhm,
sometimes gotta step back. Right.
mhm,
For me, as a black male, I'll definitely say that it was just shocking, but at the same time, it felt like just some of the same. It wasn't something that I hadn't realized beforehand, but I think that with a lot of the other things going on in the world, including COVID, it was shocking because it was like while the whole world is stopped, we're all quarantining, we're all have stopped life. This is still taking place. That this can still
right.
happen right now.
Yeah.
Along with that, personally, it was a realization that the world stops for no one. I say that because personally,
Mm.
I had lost a friend actually a couple days before George Floyd
Oh, wow.
was murdered. But one of the things that it really showed me was that while these things are happening in the media, there's so much happening in the world as well. My situation is not something that other people would know, yet other people have situations that I would know as well. So it really is just a realization moment, like, wow, while things are going on in the world, there's so many small things that don't get publicized. There's so much stuff that doesn't make it to social media, and you really recognize, like I said earlier, why I think it was a blessing to have this time for mental health and to be able to just breathe for a second. Because I thought to myself, what would it be like if George Floyd's case happened and Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, while we were still trying to finish off the school year, while we were still trying to get an education, what would that be like as a student and as a
Mhm.
black student?
Janaya, Jalen, you all want to jump in and just share what impact this has had on you all?
I feel like the whole George Floyd and everyone else passing away, it was very chaotic because you see people grieving for the matter, and then you also see the people that are taking advantage of it. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So there was some people that actually like they were caring for it, they're standing for what they wanted, they're pushing through with Black Lives Matter when those other people seeing that it was a vulnerability for them to go and do stuff that is against the law. That makes sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And did you like how did that make you feel as you're watching people who are taking advantage of a tragic situation?
It was just it was just very like how she said very overwhelming. As you can see, like people breaking into businesses, breaking into malls, and just stealing random stuff when the whole thing of what you're fighting for is for someone that passed away innocently, but you're breaking into stuff and stealing stuff that's not helping anything. It's just making things worse.
Mhm.
I would say that this has been for Black people, it has been very tiring. It's been tiring to wake up and see another name of a person who has been murdered, and it makes you think like, am I next? Is my brother next? Is my dad next? And it's scary um to be a Black person in this country because you have so many things stacked up against you at all times. So I would say um, it's tiring, but it's also inspirational to see how African Americans have made these situations into, like through everything, like slavery, the civil rights movement, they fought through all those things, and now I believe we will continue to fight and persevere through this situation.
Yeah, I feel like I can totally relate to that dynamic of it being tiring on one hand, but then all and overwhelming. But also there is this different sense right now. I feel in the atmosphere where this just feels different than the other times that we've had. So I'm really interested to hear in your social spaces and in your circles, what are you all talking about as far as with your friends or with your classmates about what's going on right now and the type of changes that you want to see happen?
Talking
Um,
about
well, I,
a school
oh,
setting.
No, just not necessarily in school, but just when you're talking to your friends, wherever y'all might be hanging out on IG or on TikTok or wherever your space is, where you are with your friends in social spaces virtually. Are you all having conversations about what's happening and what you want to see happen? What do those conversations sound like?
Well, one thing that my friend and I have been talking about almost since the beginning, that like ever since like the beginning of this all coming back to life, Black Lives Matter, how a lot of people and businesses have been very like informative. And it's kind of it's like they're making certain changes based on reaction and not
Mhm.
sole action of it being like, right and things like that. They're doing it based because they're reacting to people's outlash and stuff like that. Like, for example, the NFL, they've really like shown that they care about this like Black Lives Matter and things like that when they completely blackballed Kaepernick. And it's kind of like a slap in the face. And I've like every single time I see the NFL post something about it, I'm just like, because you literally had a guy kneeling before the flag to protest against police brutalities against minorities. And you completely blackball him. Like he's not on the team anymore. He's not on any team. Nobody's really looking for him, checking for Kaepernick. And all of a sudden when this is brought to light and people
Mhm.
pushing a response out of you, you're giving it to us, but only because like it's a reaction and you don't want to lose sales or like, money and all of it like from a corporation standpoint and all of these little changes, performative changes that they're doing, it doesn't really sit right with me because if you really cared, then you kind of would have already made those decisions. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Change and bring awareness to something. So I don't know.
Mhm.
I
I,
think.
if I can add on to that, I do think that this whole moment, conversation wise, has just been a reminder that this is our reality, but it's not the reality for others. You know, there is, it was a reminder of the fact that there is, I'm going blank on the word, there is supremacy. There is groups that just will never relate to the experience that we have as Black people. And I say that because it's just been a reminder that, you know, even in the statement, the controversial statement of Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter, things like that, I think there's a silent majority. There's groups that never really have to speak on these topics because it's not the reality. While we know, you know, don't walk out the, you know, you heard your mom say, don't walk out the house looking like that because you'll be judged. You know, don't go this place this late because you'll be judged. If you're going here, go in a group. If you're a female, you have certain ways as a Black female that you have to walk. Period. You know what I'm saying? Just to feel safe. But recognizing that it's not the experience that everyone else has, and I say that because in my personal groups, it's not just Black people. There's multiple different races. You know, being from Riverview, Florida, there's so many different people. So recognizing that, how many of my friends didn't understand my experience, didn't understand why this is so infuriating, didn't understand why when someone was murdered, I wasn't able to sleep that night or the next night or still, you know what I'm saying? While they're just okay with it because it just, to them, it just almost seems like TV. It's not reality. But I definitely agree with, you know, seeing businesses and how they respond to it, and just recognizing that a lot of these corporations, like you said, it hasn't been their focus. But also, like Janaya said, I think it's in a weird way given a strength. It's reminded me and my friends in my friend group that we have a strength through social media, even if we can't physically make certain changes because of age, even if we can't be in certain political rooms and certain, you know, meetings, different stuff like that. We have power just in social media and posting. I see how, you know, through the video of Ahmaud Arbery getting out, and that took place in February. But seeing how social media, everything sped up so much because of the pressure that was put on it, and recognizing that if we really all come together and try to make a change, even in as simple as a post can be, where it takes 30 seconds to possibly get it up, we can make so much change with just that.
Mm-hmm. Janaya and Jalen, I saw y'all shaking your heads over there. What are you thinking?
I was going to say, I've seen that, as they said, corporations have put out statements and saying like it's trendy to be with the Black Lives Matter movement, but they're not making, like, I've seen they made changes with companies like, okay, we're going to do this now with actors, we're going to do this now, but they're not doing like arresting the cops or, you know, changing like um, the school system. You know, they're doing all these other things. We can do all this for you, but we're not going to do what you really asked for. And it's kind of annoying at times because it's like, you know, it's what we want, and if you keep doing everything else, it's just like, when is the change really going to come? But as Joshua said, I think there is this resilience just built in Black people that, you know, through all these situations, we've just kept overcoming them. So I think it's just amazing to see it. And I hope that, you know, we can continue to do it and change the system that we're in.
Yeah.
Like everyone said, I feel like many corporations are beating around the bush with the whole like how they're trying to advocate Black Lives Matter. I feel like they're beating around the bush just to like be, keep a social status, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like a lot of companies and stuff, even though they don't, some companies don't agree with it, they'll still say it just so they don't lose customers or lose money, if that makes sense. Because
Mm-hmm.
ever since all this has happening, this is when companies are posting and donating. But before all this, when everything was happening a while back, they weren't doing as much as they're doing now. Everything's happening just because it's a bigger arena of people of standing up for it. Now I feel like many companies are pushing through and trying to get yourself to stay with the company, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they're trying to be trendy. So So even if you think about, when we posted the black square on Instagram, so they're posting the black square, but then the next day you back to your old foolishness, and nothing has
Yeah.
really changed. So I totally get that. Just jumping on the bandwagon to placate or to, kind of make us feel like, oh yeah, they're on board. But when the rubber meets the road, it's just another day,
Yeah.
same business.
Mhm.
So Joshua, you have brought up arresting the police. Like you said, they're not, or Janai, one of y'all has said about arresting the police. My memory, I'm old. Um, Making sure that we're doing things that actually matter and things that are actually causing real change. So I wanted to ask you all about your views on the police. There is a movement right now to defund the police, reorganize the police. What experiences have you had with police officers, or what are your views on how they operate in our communities?
Feel as if, like I was told when I was younger, you can't judge a book by its cover.
Hmm.
I mean, there are bad cops that don't go with what they're supposed to be going with, that do things because they think it's right, but there also are the good cops which help and try to push through and try to like help anyone no matter what skin color they are. So I feel as if you really can't really break down the law system to rebuild it because you're thinking that all cops are bad when not all cops are bad. It's just a few of them.
Mm,
Yeah, I agree with Jalen on that. I think that one of the things, saying that there's good cops, bad cops, I think that it's important that we just recognize that there's good people and bad people. And I say that because while there's good people and bad people, it's the job of a police officer and what um, different police departments are, representing and how they're handling situations. I think in that space itself is definitely problematic. I think there are issues. I can't say myself that I have the answers because I'm not educated enough to really know how the system itself works. However, what I will say
mm,
is that real change is necessary. Not the kind of change where we just put it to the side for a while. Not the kind of change where we just fire one person, even not really the kind of change where we just arrest one of the officers. And I say that because while you arrest the officers, you still have plenty of officers who can still continue continue. So I think it's important that the actual departments make change. I was reading up on how a lot of police departments, the training that they have is less hours than the training that people have to become cosmetologists. And I think that's
mm,
important to recognize because I'm pretty sure the people who should be protecting us should have a little more time, especially when we have historical issues with that
yeah.
department, with that corporation, with that group of individuals who have this
Hmm.
such an important job in all of our communities. So I definitely think that there's good cops, bad cops. Luckily, myself, I have not had an encounter with a police officer that has been bad. But what I will say is that the department itself, the idea itself, needs to have major changes.
Hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like there needs to be reform when it comes to who can and can't be a police officer. You know what I mean? Like a good entry test, not just an entry test, but just like something to like see where that person's head is and things like that. I feel like people should be policing their own community, like having police officers from that specific community police that community because they know how to interact with those people. You know what I mean? Not have
Hmm.
police officers from elsewhere come to police communities from different places. I just don't because they don't know how to, react to people. But my experiences with police officers, I haven't necessarily had any bad experiences with police officers, like at all, to be honest.
I would say in terms of like the good cop and bad cop things, I think it's definitely a system thing because the way they were trained might be like he said, that I think it's definitely like the training should be definitely a longer time because um these are the people who are patrolling the streets. They shouldn't be having this little time of training when they have to arrest people and decide, these type of things. So I definitely think if you see like our history, the way that it started, it's kind of, I think there's still some of those ideas rooted in our policing system. And I think that um, poor Black neighborhoods are over policed so that when they say defund the police, I've seen that. It was like pour more resources into the school system of poorer neighborhoods so that the kids, when they have not enough funds, it's like, what do they do? And so they don't have things to do after school and all those things. So then the police are there to catch whatever they do. And that's what is also the stereotypes is also getting more African Americans into the system. And so I definitely think the system needs to be reformed.
Miss
Yeah,
Jack,
Janaya. Go ahead, Joshua.
sorry, if you don't mind, I want to add something to that Janai said as well, because I believe that while we've all, said that we haven't had, the worst experiences with police officers, I think it's important to recognize that a lot of our views, and not just for us that are here on the call, but just as Black people, are affected daily based off of what we see. And I say that because, I think of an analogy of, say you see someone who eats a spoiled apple, and then another person eats a spoiled apple. While you may not have ate a spoiled apple, you're not going to want to reach from that batch. So I said to say the effects that we're going to have, we can have major effects just by viewing. And it's possible that my view today, even though I have not been affected, can change a year from now, 2 years from now, if I'm living a full life of feeling as if people that meet the qualities that I have are treated unjustly.
Mm-hmm. And I was actually going to kind of ask about that because Janaya, like when you talk about the over policing in our poor neighborhoods or in our Black neighborhoods, does police presence make you all feel safe? Do you feel safer when you see the police?
I would say now, like seeing all the things, sometimes not really. It makes me feel more nervous. Watch what I'm doing, watch how I move. If I move the wrong way, it could be the end of my life, or I could, something bad could happen. So I definitely think seeing all the things has definitely put a sense of fear in me that I don't want to have. But yeah, it's definitely put a sense of fear in me.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely complex. Because I feel like while at certain times I feel safer, like you said, at certain times you don't. I think, again, it's just something that we as Black people have, where we have to just know that while I respect you because of the position that you have, I have to make sure that that respect is shown, because your position can quickly change from trying to keep me safe to trying to harm me.
Mm. Mm. What about for you, Jalen? Does police presence make you feel safe or not?
I don't really, I don't want to say it makes me feel safe, but if I see a police officer, I'm not really gonna change my mood. I'm not gonna get scared. I'm not gonna like be like super fidgety. It's just like, to me, it's just a police officer is just like another person just walking with a gun and has more power over things that I can do. So I mean, at a time, yes, how he said you could feel safer, but at another time, I don't really fear fear
Mm-hmm.
it. If that makes sense, it's just more of a like um think before you do.
Mm-hmm. So do you feel like you're more aware, like of the things that you
Very,
do?
very.
So not necessarily fearful, but definitely aware of the fact that something could go left at any moment. Hmm.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say safe, but I would feel monitored by the police officers. I really don't, I choose not to pay any mind to them either. And I also choose not to feed into the mass hysteria that the media feeds us. But
Mm-hmm.
I am aware that they have a certain power over us, which is their gun or their weapons. And but really I choose not to put myself in that headspace.
Mm-hmm.
I see a police officer, I just know that I'm being monitored, but I also have that kind of privilege because I don't encounter police officers all the time, and I don't really necessarily see police officers mishandle people all the time. I'm not there physically, so I'm gonna have that kind of perspective. But
Mm-hmm.
I am aware that other people can have different, varying perspectives based on what they see on a day-to-day basis.
Mm-hmm.
So
So I want to, y'all have been drawing this line with law enforcement and schools, right? And how these two systems, the education system as well as the law enforcement system or the criminal justice system, run very parallel. And a lot of times in the work that we talk about in Teaching for the Culture, we talk about closing the school to prison pipeline. And the school to prison pipeline is really about the policing and the way that we discipline you all in school and how that can feed into you having these interactions with law enforcement. So what I'm wondering about is what um one, do you feel safe in your school environments, right? Do you feel that the school is honoring you as a Black person living in America? Um, if so, we'd like to know that. But if not, what does the school system need to do better to make you feel that you are safe and valued within your school?
I think when I went to Wharton, we had a lot of police officers on campus. Like one year it was like two, and then the next year it was like a whole bunch. I couldn't even like name or even recognize them for the most part. And they would basically like, put their hands on students and things like that, like literally arrest kids, students in everybody's faces and things like that. And that itself can create a sense of fear when you come to school. You know what I mean? Which
Mhm,
you shouldn't be afraid when you come to school. It's a place where you learn, a place where some people find refuge from home. But no, there's police officers arresting students, checking people's bags and things like that, doing random checks. So I feel like, I'm sorry, can you repeat the question again?
yeah, so does that make you feel safer? And if not, what does the school need to do in order to make you feel safe and valued in that environment? So what could Wharton have done to make you feel better?
I feel like what they could have done better was I really feel like it was the administration who didn't know how to discipline students, and there was discrepancies between how they would punish other students versus different students. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
so I really feel like it fell on administration, and the police officers were just being told what to do based on the information that the administration was giving them. Because there was a huge distinction based on who was getting arrested and who wasn't getting arrested. And first of all, that's a problem. And because it was majority minority students, all minority students getting arrested, while the school was majority Caucasian. Um, I just think it was like huge discrepancy between the disciplinary and between the administration and students, and the police had to come in and make everything work.
Mm.
Yeah.
Um, I feel as if I felt pretty safe in East Bay. Um, we only had one deputy, and the deputy was pretty chill and laid back. He used to joke with us, like make jokes, like help us, like he was like the class, he'd help us, etc. So I feel as if the more lean back and the more they treat you like a person and a student, it will give you the like safeness of what you could feel from a deputy. So as she said, her administrators was giving them bad. He was arresting people. Only time I've ever seen my deputy arrest someone is like when there's like a fight, and he really didn't arrest them. He just detained them to like de-escalate the situation. So I feel
Mhm.
as if it's just the respect they give you is what you're going to give them back. That makes sense.
Mhm.
Personally, so I went to Riverview High School. We had one deputy as well. However, what I will say is, Riverview, we made up 19% as Black students of the school, and it was very noticeable. For me, I think one of the most noticeable parts was I felt like if you were not the ideal student when it comes to behavior, when it comes to just really like almost playing the game in a sense, it felt like you quickly saw the experience change. And I say that because while for me myself, I never had any bad instances or encounters with the deputy on a personal level. I witnessed a lot that I definitely could recognize should have went other ways, but it was because they might not have been as quote unquote focused of a student as me. But I think with the school system, like I feel as if one of the biggest issues I just think as a Black student is kind of with the same thing as when people say, "Oh, I don't see color," and I say that because it's like the goal is not for you not to see my color; it's for you to recognize it and then recognize what can come with that. Just what we inherit with that. And I say that because I don't feel like my school always did the best job with that, um, because you see our color and you see us as another student, you try to ignore that, not recognizing that because I'm this color, there's certain expectations that are already on my life. And for some of us, based off the environment you go in, not just even when it comes to where you live, but the household that you go in. Sometimes you come to school and that's your only time to release, stress. That's your only time to just feel free for a second. And of course, that can go, place that it shouldn't. But I think that they quickly just ignored all of those factors a lot of times, and just, I definitely saw that change in the difference between how they handle that as students.
Mm.
So in my school, my corporal is Black, so I have a Black corporal, and he's a very nice guy. I don't think he is one of those types of people to, discriminate people based on their race. So, but definitely in school, I would say, for like Black History Month, for example, when I was in history class, we did like nothing. So I would say there's like a misrepresentation of like in history, we don't really see people who look like us. And the only times they really talk about it is slavery. And that's like, that's not what the Black race is about. And they talk about it for a little bit. So it's just kind of like, okay, we're gonna talk about slavery for a little bit and just move on. So it's kind of like um, and plus, most of the history that we see is from the European perspective. So we're not even really getting it from African Americans. And so I would say definitely misrepresentation in our history classes.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So along, go ahead, Samira.
I definitely agree because my senior year, I decided to take African American history, and we didn't have a teacher the entire semester. It's only a semester. We didn't have a teacher the entire semester, so we didn't learn anything like at all. We had a substitute. She was trying to teach us, and she didn't really, understand what we were supposed to do either. Whole time we had to take the end of course exam at the end of the semester, even though the teachers knew we didn't. The administration knew we didn't have a teacher for that class, and we were still expected to take the end of course exam,
Mm.
African American history class. And I agree, like it goes with like the misrepresentation because really they just let that class fly. They let it go, and it was ironically African American history class shows how much
Mm.
they actually do care about the actual content in that class.
And that was an elective, correct?
It was an elective, yeah.
What
So how? Go ahead, Joshua.
Just to add on to at Review, we didn't even have the course,
Yeah,
and me and my friends actually inquired on why we didn't have it. We were told
Mhm.
because teachers want to teach it,
Mm.
and it's just funny because I remember going through high school and hearing teachers say, "Oh yeah, I'm teaching this class now because I was asked to teach it. I'm teaching this
Mhm.
class because I was asked to teach it," and I always questioned, well, we make up such a big portion, not just even of this school, but of the world. Why wasn't anyone asked to teach African American history? But
Yeah.
So what I was about to ask you all is how would you feel if I told you that there was a law that was passed in 1994 and renewed in 2002 that made it mandatory mandatory to teach African and African American history in all classes from preschool through 12th grade?
Where?
Not true.
It's out here on the internet. And how would you feel if I told you that Hillsborough County public schools ranked exemplary in the teaching of African and African American history?
If that's the case, then it just makes me think like, what are the other counties like? Are the other counties just like not teaching African American history? Because we barely touch African American history at all, like in my school.
In my school, the only thing we did for um, Black Americans is a club. I'm in this club called BAM, and one day we all dressed up in African attire. So we dressed up and we went into the cafeteria every single period and played music from like our ancestors and stuff, and we showed them the clothes and we explained like what the clothes was to show them a representation of what being an African American is.
Hmm. But that was it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like,
So go ahead.
I was gonna say, I would think like most of the classes that I was in, they would like just touch on it for like a week or so. Like for example, the Harlem Renaissance, we learned about that for like a week before we learned about the Great Gatsby, which has absolutely no Black people. Um,
Mm.
we um we also like the slavery thing that we learn every year in like history. Like they'll touch on it like once and then they'll get rid of it for like the rest of the school year. That's my
Hmm.
experience.
Hmm.
So my sophomore year, I quickly recognized that we weren't going to learn anything about Black history, including, of course, Black History Month. Literally February, 2 years of February is going by. So my junior year, I inquired, found out that that wasn't a plan. There was no plan to celebrate Black History Month at all. My school's been open since 1999. So I started a club called HYPE, which stands for Heritage Youth Pride and Excellence. We'll be going on the third year this coming school year. And our we were told if you want to celebrate Black history, it's on you to come up with a budget for it, to come up with plans for it, and then every single thing that we have to do has to get approved. So we still didn't end up doing Black
Wow.
history because the things that we wanted to do didn't get approved out of
Mm.
nowhere. But I say that because if I'm told that we're ranking it, as we're doing such a great job,
Exemplary. That's what they
where,
said.
where is the great job, especially as a student, because that makes me feel like the work that I'm putting in and my friends are putting in to try to make stuff happen is just like doesn't matter, to be completely honest, because it's not even being counted for.
Mm.
I was gonna say at least like when I heard your schools are doing something, I was gonna say at least your schools are doing something. My school does like nothing. I was like, wow, like we don't do anything here. So I was featured on the news in February for my company Slay It Proud and like sharing Black history. So my dad, I think he emailed the school or something like that, and my principal found out about it, and he was like, "Oh my goodness, like that's so cool." And I talked to him about doing this event in Black History Month where I have like I don't know where it would be, but we were in the midst of talking about it during the school year, but COVID. So but I'm gonna try to bring it up again. And I was gonna try to do an event with some unknown African Americans, not just like your Martin Luther Kings and Rosa Parks, but some other people, and talk about them. And he told me that next year for Black History Month, every day, so we have like they play the school news in like homeroom. So he said like every day for like the school news, I do this thing called like Black Fridays where I try to share about an unknown African American for like a minute or so. And so he
Mhm.
said they were going to try to play a video every single day during Black History Month. So I was like, that's really cool. I hope it really happens next year.
Yeah, that's definitely a step in the right direction. And Janai and Joshua, I'm glad that you all are talking about what you're doing to make a difference, because that was one of my questions. How are you all using your platform to inform people about what's happening and to really use your voice to make sure that student voices are being heard out here in this world?
Well, since the school year is over, I would say that right now I'm mostly having conversations to get like my brain thinking. I'm talking to my friends about it. I'm talking to my family about it. We're exchanging ideas. Sometimes I even post it on my Instagram.
Mhm.
Like even like I know most people, well, a lot of people right now are, posting things on their stories like information or signing petitions and things like that to spread information quickly through the internet. So I've been doing that too, and I've gone to a few protests, and yeah.
What else are y'all doing?
Well, personally, like I said, I'll be going to Morehouse College in the fall in Atlanta, Georgia. So I think one of the biggest things for me, it just has been educating myself. I think it's important that if I'm going to, fight the good fight, as they say, and try to educate others, that I'm educating myself. So investing into going to being around other people that are trying to build themselves up as well. Also being a part of groups like Gentleman Quest, Gentleman Debate, which is a mentorship group, just to develop myself. I think it starts internally and then externally, and then
Mhm.
also I was able to protest, which is one cool thing that came from all of this in a sense because you're around so many people who feel the way that you feel. 'Cause a lot of times, when you're home and you're encountering people who don't understand, it can become discouraging because it's like I have such a passion. I understand this, but so many people don't. So, actually putting yourself in groups where you're able to see other people who are just on fire about making changes you are. This has been great.
Yeah.
I'm actually a member of Gentleman's Quest Tampa with Mr. Meyer. So um, with that group, I feel like that's a big voice for young black men because we recruit black men and we try to show them that you don't have to just be this and that. You can do whatever you want. You can like we help elderly, help homeless. We went to speech. We did suits. Like we dress professional. We like it's the whole thing that you can do with the Gentleman's Quest of Tampa that gives a voice to younger kids and younger people like me.
Mhm.
As they said before, I also attended a protest, and it was just a great experience to see because the media, the way they put it out, is that all these protests are people busting into buildings and burning down places. When the one I went to was very peaceful and very organized, and it just showed all these people who see there's an issue and see there's a problem, and they want to fix it. And they want to be a part of the change. And also, as I said before, through my company, Slay It Proud, I've been sharing Black history every week and just trying to, as Joshua said, educate myself. So,
Mhm. So, my last question for you all, the time has really flown by, but I want to honor something that Joshua brought up a few times as we were talking here, and that's the mental health piece. My question is, what are you doing personally to attend to your mental health and make sure that you're taking care of your mind?
Really, I make it a thing to go outside every morning for like at least an hour. Um, I try to take breaks, like social media breaks, because a lot of that, like, it really infiltrates your mind. Like, I cannot stress that enough. Like, the way the media like picks and chooses what to shove in your face, it's like it becomes too much. So I take like a break from that sometimes. Um, I've been reading um, things like that, just so I can like escape from like this space
Yeah.
right now.
I think it's just been
Me,
maintained. Oh, go ahead.
like,
I think it's just been like maintaining my own peace. Um, Definitely going on walks. I think turning my phone off when I need to and just having that selfish moment has been big. Because our phones, like, it's so easy to get consumed, especially when you have Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, everything. Like, you're just bouncing app to app, and it can feel like, oh, you'll leave one app thinking to go on something else and just get my head off of it. But these issues have literally infiltrated everything. And it's a good thing, but at the same time, it can become detrimental. So sometimes you have to completely turn it off and just walking outside, getting fresh air, seeing, of course, we're social distancing, but like being able to just see other people. Sometimes, like, I'll walk through my neighborhood and I just see the park and I see kids like smiling. And as simple as it is, like, okay, just remembering everything's okay. Like, well, of course, not everything's okay, but it can be. Like, we can get back to peace. We can have moments of happiness. Sometimes also watching what I'm watching on TV, not spending too much time on CNN and news sources. Every now and then, turn on some comedy or watch something on Netflix. Just find a way to disconnect from it for a second. That way, when I do get back to it, I'm not just running off an empty engine.
Yeah.
Like they said, I've been taking a break from social media. Like, not really been on my phone. Instead of being on my phone, I've been like working out or like getting in the pool. And like you said, just seeing people, like, you can, like, even though you can't like be that close to them, you can still go and interact with them. Or like if you're like wearing your mask, you can go and do stuff with your friend. Like, just seeing people out and doing normal day things gives you like how you said, like a sense of like everything is gonna be okay sooner or later.
Mhm.
I think I've definitely been listening to music, as I said, watching things I want to watch, just taking breaks, like they said, from social media. Um, I've also gone outside and been on bike rides and just talked to people about how I feel. Like my mom and my sister, I've just talked to people, and I think that's definitely one thing that has really helped me is just getting how I feel out to people.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why we definitely wanted to do this with you all, because we feel like your voice is missing in all of this. And it's really important to us that we think about how everything that's happening is impacting you and give you an opportunity to be vulnerable and say, this is how this feels. This is what I'm thinking. This is what I would like to see. So we definitely want to be able to do this more often with you all, and I hope that you will oblige us in being able to have these conversations more often. I also wanted to let you know, so I have a sorority sister of mine. She has an organization called HBCU Walking Billboard, and I did a watch party over on my Facebook page. She says she would love to gift an HBCU Walking Billboard grad pack to each of you. So I want to make sure that we have your email addresses and your t-shirt sizes so that we can get that to you. There are lots of comments that have come in about how proud people are of you all for exercising your voice here and putting yourself in this position to be vulnerable. We really do appreciate it, and definitely want this to continue. And our vision for this is that you all will take this after we do this for a while, and you all start to lead the conversation. You all start to facilitate these opportunities to have other youth have their voices heard. So just know that the things that you're saying are being taken seriously. Know that we are listening. This generation is looking to you to empower you to be able to take the torch and to really take things to the next level. So we just want you to know that. And there are people that you don't even know that want to bless you, and they're excited about what you are doing here. So I just wanted to share that hot off the press news, because that was pretty cool. Also, I want to remind you that even in the midst of chaos, you do deserve to smile. So it's not selfish for you to decide that you're going to take a moment for self. It's not selfish at all. It's actually the best thing that you can do for other people is to make sure that you're taking care of your mental health and protecting your peace. So you don't have to feel guilty when you pop on a comedy or you decide that you want to, make a video for TikTok or whatever. You don't have to feel any type of way about it because you still deserve to smile even in the midst of everything else that is happening. So hold on to that and know that and do everything that you can to encourage those people who are around you and continue to use your platforms and your voice to make a difference out here. So, thank you all so much again for doing this with us. We will definitely make sure we stay in touch because we need to have y'all back because these conversations need to continue. And thank you all for watching. Thank you to Bianca Goolsby for putting this together for Teaching for the Culture. And we'll see you all again real soon.